Columbia, Missouri, so I wouldn't be mad, but also need to, go to work. And my mom was running track at the time, and so there's a family connection.
Just when it looked like the lead might slip away, Sophie Cunningham buried a huge three-pointer. She has built a reputation as one of the toughest competitors in the WNBA, a relentless player who has battled for every opportunity throughout her career. Sophie Cunningham is not someone who shows emotion easily, yet this season brought her to a moment she could not keep inside. As her game continued to heat up and the shots kept falling, she found herself trying to explain something much bigger than basketball. During a visit home, she sat with her family. To understand why Cunningham's reaction matters so much, you first need to understand who she is. Raised in Columbia, Missouri, Sophie grew up in a family where basketball was woven into everyday life. Her father, Rex Cunningham, played professionally in Europe. Her mother was a talented athlete, and competition surrounded her from an early age. The gym was never a special place to visit. It was simply part of her daily world. By the time she arrived at the but getting drafted was only the beginning, because what followed was the difficult and demanding challenge of proving herself and carving out a lasting place in the professional game. What often goes unseen is the demanding journey every professional player faces after reaching the league, the long process of earning respect and finding a role. Sophie Cunningham embraced that challenge from day one. She put in the work, played hard-nosed defense, and delivered in crucial moments whenever her team needed her most. Around the league, more importantly, Cunningham was never someone driven by empty emotion or public performances. When something truly affected her, it was because it had earned that reaction. So when the 2024 WNBA draft arrived and CaitlinClark entered the league as the first overall pick, the basketball world stopped to watch. Clark joined Indiana while Cunningham remained in Phoenix, placing them on different paths. Yet basketball has a way of bringing people together through competition, shared experiences, and countless moments on and off the court. As the season unfolded, Cunningham found herself close enough to witness something that left a lasting impression. It raised an interesting question. What happens when a veteran competitor who has spent years battling through the toughest levels of professional basketball suddenly finds herself sharing the court with a player whose impact feels completely different? The answer begins with understanding CaitlinClark beyond the headlines. Most fans know the public version of Clark, the player launching shots from distances that seem impossible, the deep three-pointers, the logo shots, and the jaw-dropping moments that instantly capture national attention. Those highlights tell part of the story, but according to those who have played alongside her, they barely scratch the surface of what truly makes her special. Beyond the logo threes and record-breaking performances, there is another side of CaitlinClark that only her teammates truly experience. Fans see the no-look passes, the packed arenas, and the phenomenon that transformed a basketball star into a cultural force, but those inside the locker room describe something even more impressive. They do not talk about a player who simply relies on talent or arrives already crowned with greatness. Instead, they describe someone obsessed with the work. Clark shows up early, stays late, and approaches preparation with the exact same intensity she brings to game night. For her, practice is not a routine obligation, it is competition at full speed, every single day. That reality creates a unique challenge for the teammates standing across from her in drills. Imagine being the defender she attacks repeatedly, the player she reads before a move even develops, or the person trying to react while she is already 3 steps ahead mentally. Opponents occasionally get a glimpse of that experience during games, but teammates witness it daily when the cameras are gone and the spotlight disappears. That is where the real education begins. And according to many who have shared the court with her, the passing ability stands out more than anything else. Clark sees opportunities that most players never recognize. She identifies tiny openings between defenders, anticipates a teammate's cut before it happens, and delivers the ball at the exact second it needs to arrive. Her vision allows her to process the floor differently, spotting movements and angles that seem invisible to everyone else. For the player receiving those passes, it can feel almost surreal because the ball arrives before they fully realize they are open. That combination of anticipation, precision, and basketball intelligence is what separates Clark from most elite players and helps explain why those closest to her often speak about her impact with a level of admiration that goes far beyond statistics. What makes those passes so remarkable is that CaitlinClark often sees opportunities before they even exist. A teammate may think they are covered, only to discover the ball arriving exactly where it needs to be because Clark recognized the opening before anyone else did. That same ability becomes even more noticeable when the pressure rises. Most players, including many great ones, feel the game tighten around them in crucial moments. Decisions become rushed, options seem limited, and instincts often replace clear thinking. Clark operates differently. The bigger the stage, the sharper her focus appears to become. As the crowd grows louder and the stakes increase, her understanding of the game seems to become even clearer. Teammates and opponents repeatedly describe the same experience. Clark consistently delivers her best basketball when everything is on the line. That ability to elevate under pressure is one of the rarest traits any competitor can possess. Yet there is another side of her greatness that rarely makes the highlights. Those who spend time around her notice how seriously she approaches every detail of the game, even the moments most people overlook. Her warm-up routines carry the same intensity as a critical fourth-quarter possession. During film sessions, she often raises observations and questions that others were thinking about but had not yet voiced. She studies opponents carefully, remembers small tendencies from games played weeks earlier, and applies that information instantly when the opportunity appears. What looks like natural instinct is usually the result of relentless preparation. That is why so many players leave the gym impressed by more than her talent. For Clark, excellence is not something she turns on when the spotlight arrives. It is not a performance reserved for game day. It is the standard she holds herself to every day, the foundation of how she approaches basketball, and the reason her impact feels different from almost anyone else in the sport. Experiencing that level of greatness from the inside changes the way a professional athlete views the game itself. Watching someone seamlessly connect preparation with execution, thought with action, and vision with results forces you to rethink what basketball can truly be. It does not diminish your own accomplishments. Instead, it expands your understanding of the sport. For someone who loves basketball as deeply as Sophie Cunningham, that realization carries an emotion that is almost impossible to put into words. Cunningham has built her entire career on toughness, determination, and an unwavering refusal to be outworked by anyone. She earned respect through grit and relentless effort, so when she witnessed CaitlinClark up close, the feeling was not envy or intimidation. It was recognition. It was the realization that she was seeing something special about the sport expressed at a level she had never encountered before. Every athlete who has spent time around true greatness can point to a specific moment when admiration becomes understanding, when an abstract reputation suddenly becomes undeniable reality. For Cunningham, that moment came while watching Clark perform something that elite players do all the time, but with a level of precision, control, and brilliance that made a familiar basketball play feel completely different. Imagine a close game in the final minutes. The defense is fully committed to stopping Clark. Every coverage is designed around limiting her strengths, crowding her shooting space, forcing difficult angles, and placing multiple defenders between her and the basket. Every coaching staff in the league has spent countless hours studying film and searching for the same answer: how do you slow her down? Yet despite all that preparation, Clark continues finding solutions. She reads the defense before it fully develops, identifies weaknesses before they appear obvious, and turns impossible situations into opportunities. That ability to stay one step ahead, especially when the pressure is highest, is what transformed a moment of appreciation into something much deeper for Cunningham and helped her understand why Clark's impact feels unlike anything most players have ever experienced. Eventually, most teams reach the same conclusion when facing CaitlinClark. Stopping her is not really an option. The best they can do is limit the damage and hope the cost is manageable. Yet, even when defenses execute their game plan perfectly, when the crowd is roaring, the clock is winding down, and every possession feels massive, Clark somehow discovers something no one else sees. It might be a passing lane that appeared invisible to everyone in the arena, or a perfectly timed delivery that arrives exactly where a teammate needs it. Other times, it is a shot launched from a distance that seems completely disconnected from what basketball logic suggests should happen, only for it to drop through the net anyway. That was the moment Sophie Cunningham carried with her long after the game ended. Not the celebration, not the headlines, and not the reaction online. What stayed with her was the moment itself, those few seconds on the court when greatness reveals itself in a way that is difficult to explain. It was a sequence that contained far more than a basketball play. It was a glimpse into a level of vision, anticipation, and execution that felt almost impossible to describe without sounding dramatic. Later, when Cunningham sat down with her family, she tried to explain what she had witnessed. These were the people who knew her best, who had watched her grow from a determined kid in Missouri into a professional athlete, who understood her passion for the game better than anyone. She wanted them to understand what it felt like to be on the floor when Clark operates at her highest level. But anyone who has tried to explain a truly unforgettable experience knows the challenge. The memory feels enormous, yet the words never seem large enough to contain it. You start describing the play itself, but quickly realize that the play is not really the point. The pass, the shot, or the possession are only the surface. What you actually experienced was something deeper, a rare intersection of talent, preparation, instinct, and human excellence. It was basketball serving as the vehicle for something much bigger. In those moments, the action and its meaning become inseparable, and for the people fortunate enough to witness it from nearby, the experience leaves an impact that stays with them long after the final buzzer sounds. When the emotions finally surfaced, anyone who truly understands the power of sports could recognize exactly where they came from. These were not tears of sadness, frustration, or self-doubt. They were the kind of tears that appear when someone finally gives voice to a feeling they have carried for a long time and suddenly realizes just how meaningful that feeling really is. Sophie Cunningham was not emotional because CaitlinClark had done something against her or even for her personally. She was emotional because Clark had expanded her understanding of what basketball could look like at its absolute highest level. There is something incredibly powerful about that image. A fierce competitor, someone whose entire career has been defined by toughness and resilience, sitting with her family and becoming overwhelmed not by defeat, but by gratitude for having witnessed something extraordinary up close. And Cunningham is far from the only player to experience that reaction. In many ways, she represents a broader pattern that has emerged across the WNBA since Clark entered the league. Time and again, players known for their composure, intensity, and competitive edge have found themselves genuinely moved by what they see from Clark. Of course, the league has changed dramatically during this period. Attendance numbers have climbed, television audiences have reached historic levels, and conversations around the future of the sport have taken on a new urgency. But beyond those measurable changes, there has been a shift that statistics cannot fully capture. There is a different energy inside arenas, a heightened sense of attention, and a growing feeling among many longtime players that opportunities they spent years fighting for are finally arriving. Some veterans understandably have mixed emotions about that reality, and those feelings deserve recognition. Yet when teammates and respected competitors speak honestly about Clark, a common theme continues to emerge. Their admiration goes beyond points, assists, records, or headlines. They often describe a player whose style of play reconnects people with the joy and wonder that first made them fall in love with basketball. Whether it is a no-look pass that leaves an entire arena stunned or a fearless shot taken from a distance most players would never consider, Clark has a way of turning ordinary possessions into unforgettable moments. And for those lucky enough to witness it firsthand, the experience often feels like more than basketball. It feels like a reminder of why the game matters in the first place. What leaves so many players amazed is not just the result of CaitlinClark's plays, but the way she sees the game unfolding before everyone else does. Her court vision seems to operate on a different level, allowing her to recognize opportunities that other elite athletes can sense but cannot fully access. That kind of genuine astonishment is incredibly rare among professionals who have spent their entire lives mastering the sport. Yet Clark creates those moments repeatedly for players who are notoriously difficult to impress. Her impact extends beyond what happens during games as well. In the quiet moments before tip-off, in practice sessions, in hallways, and in conversations away from cameras, teammates and opponents often describe the same thing. Despite the attention surrounding her, Clark has never confused popularity with importance. She approaches the game seriously, respects the people around her, and carries herself with a professionalism that stands out just as much as her talent. The combination of extraordinary ability and genuine humility is uncommon, and when players encounter it, they notice immediately. That is why Sophie Cunningham's reaction carries so much significance. She earned every bit of respect she has through years of sacrifice, relentless competition, and a commitment to a sport that often demands more than it gives back. She understands better than most how difficult greatness is to achieve because she has spent her entire career chasing excellence herself. So when someone with that level of experience becomes emotional while talking about a teammate, it means something different. This is not the reaction of someone seeing elite basketball for the first time. It is the reaction of a veteran competitor who knows exactly what greatness looks like and still found herself witnessing something that surpassed even her expectations. That is the deeper meaning behind her words. Beyond the records, the highlights, the television ratings, and all the attention surrounding Clark, there remains a simple truth. Every once in a while, an athlete arrives who expands the boundaries of what others thought was possible. And when someone like Sophie Cunningham, a player defined by toughness and experience, is moved to tears by that reality, it serves as a reminder that true greatness is not measured only by accomplishments. Sometimes its greatest impact is found in the people fortunate enough to witness it up close. Look beyond the headlines, the records, and the endless conversation surrounding CaitlinClark and focus on what Sophie Cunningham was actually describing when she sat with her family and became emotional talking about a teammate. What she was describing was true impact. Not the kind measured by marketing campaigns or social media trends, but the kind that occurs when one person witnesses something extraordinary and fully understands the magnitude of what they are seeing. Cunningham is not a casual fan or outside observer. She is a seasoned professional athlete who has spent years competing at the highest level of basketball. Her standards are shaped by experience, discipline, and countless battles on the court. For someone like her to be moved so deeply says something significant. It speaks to the level of influence Clark has on those around her. During her rookie season alone, Clark accomplished things that immediately placed her among the league's most talked about players. She shattered expectations, rewrote records, elevated interest across the WNBA, and helped transform the Indiana Fever into one of the most watched teams in professional basketball. Fans saw the numbers, the sold-out arenas, and the highlight plays. But what Cunningham witnessed was the version of Clark that never appears in a box score. She saw the early mornings, the extra repetitions, the film study, and the relentless commitment to improvement. She saw a competitor who refused to let setbacks define her. When Indiana struggled early in the season, Clark responded with some of the best performances of her young career, proving that adversity only sharpened her focus. That is the version teammates remember. Not just the superstar, but the person behind the achievements. What makes Clark so remarkable is that familiarity does not reduce her impact on those around her. If anything, it strengthens it. The closer people get, the more they understand how much work supports every moment of brilliance. They see the consistency, the preparation, and the separation between what Clark does and what even elite professional athletes can realistically duplicate. Those observations accumulate day after day, practice after practice, game after game, until admiration becomes something deeper. That is why players who spend the most time around her often speak with such respect. They are not reacting to a single highlight or viral moment. They are reacting to an entire season of witnessing excellence from close range, and that experience leaves a lasting impression that goes far beyond basketball itself. When respected veterans and accomplished scorers talk about playing alongside CaitlinClark, the conversation rarely centers on statistics. Instead, they keep returning to the same thing: the vision. The passes that arrive before teammates even realize they are open. The ability to read defenses in real time, as if every rotation, adjustment, and reaction has already been solved before the possession begins. That is what Sophie Cunningham was trying to explain to her family. She was not talking about points, assists, or highlights. She was trying to describe the experience of standing on the same court as someone who sees and understands the game differently from almost everyone else. Some experiences are too powerful to keep to yourself, and this was one of them. Fans watching from home witness something special, but Cunningham experiences it from the closest possible perspective. She sees it live, unfiltered, and in its purest form, and that experience was powerful enough to bring her to tears. That alone says a great deal about the impact Clark is having on the sport. Cunningham has built her entire career through toughness, sacrifice, physical play, and an unwavering commitment to hard work. She is not known for being overly emotional or sentimental. Yet when she sat with her family and tried to describe what it feels like to share the floor with Clark, the conversation became overwhelming. She talked about the passes no one anticipates, the shots that seem impossible until they fall through the net, and the rare competitor who somehow becomes even better when the pressure reaches its highest point. By the time the conversation ended, emotions had taken over the room. And perhaps that is the most revealing part of this entire story. Greatness is often measured through awards, records, and championships, but sometimes its truest measure is the effect it has on the people who understand the game best. Sophie Cunningham understands basketball at the highest level, and even she struggled to find words big enough to capture what she had witnessed. That is what makes this story so powerful. It is not just about CaitlinClark's talent. It is about the lasting impression that talent leaves on those fortunate enough to experience it up close. So let us know in the comments, has CaitlinClark ever given you a moment that you will never forget? And if you enjoyed this story, be sure to like the video and stay tuned for the next incredible chapter in Clark's remarkable journey.